My name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday, 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
Going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all. But it comes with the highest of costs.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio,
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clocks run out. Time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, the smoking gun. On the run.
It's Monday. My name's Jimmy.
Wake up in the morning, wonder why I'm feeling so down. Is it any wonder when all I get is pushed around? There's talk around town, you made up your mind, you really wanna let me go. But if you think it's that easy, you better think twice.
We have an interesting show planned for you today, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a part 2 to what we were talking about last Monday. Talking about big money. That's right. Into the Microcosm is on the air. That's right. Well, here we are. Another week has gone by, and the golden rule is still in effect. He who has the gold rules. My name's Jimmy. I'm your friendly announcer, fighting my way through what we call the reality and coming back with a report. The report has now blossomed into a full-on investigation, ladies and gentlemen. As a result of what we found out last week, pension funds, banks, financial groups, anybody who's looking to make themselves a few bucks is investing ahead of the curve, buying up single-family homes across America and turning them into rentals. Soon, there'll be nothing left but I don't know. I think it's really, to me, I've, as a result of looking at some of this stuff and bringing back up the memory of a business model that was put forward in America after the Civil War, and it was a way to keep slaves. That's right. Except for it wasn't slavery, really, technically. Technically, it was just they were just trying to help. They're just trying to build a utopia for the workers. It's going to be necessary to go back and revisit the company store model because guess what? The company store has been reimagined. That's right. So I brought my axe. Okay. Not only am I going to grind this axe on the forehead of the system, but I'm also going to be axing you a few questions. And in order to help me do that, there she is, like a spring morn, Brandy Lou. The green-eyed lady. Are you there?
I am here, Gene.
Excelente. Well, it's good to see you. You look lovely as usual. And like I say, whenever you're in the green room, I come back in there. It always smells like a spring morn. I don't know what perfume you wear or if your soap or your shampoo or whatever it is. I don't know. But, even when you're having a bad day, when you see Brandy and experience the Brandy Lou experience, it always lifts my spirits, Brandy. So it's good to see you, and I'm happy to have you.
Good to see you.
Excellent.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Boy, you talk about money, and we are surrounded by big money, but you know what? It's not in my pocket.
I know. Well, most people don't have any. Unless they're getting it from somewhere. Some people go to a job. Some people are essential. Others are not so essential, and they're still getting money. But, it's coming from old Uncle Sammy, from Alabama. Gonna sell you some green eggs and hammy, while he wears his little red, white, and blue suit and his little top hat, and he says, come on down and enjoy the American dream. Come on down and be a part of the American empire. Come on down and be a part of the corporate plantation. Because realistically, from everything that we see here, this company store model, Brandy, has been turned into America. This is America, the company store. I mean, we'll get into it. I got a little piece prepared. Let's listen to this little chunk here. Let's go back in time to somebody. Now, this man was actually involved in working in the mines, and he was involved with the company store. So let's go back in history. You can hear it straight from somebody's mouth who was actually there. Let's hear what the company store was all about. This is In the Microcosm. I'm here with Brandy Lou, and today is the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Once you worked for Tennessee Coal and Iron or Tennessee Company at that time, you really didn't have to go outside of the company property for nothing. And I'll tell you about the commissary. The commissary is where you went and bought your groceries, you bought your furniture, you bought your meat, everything you needed was at the commissary. So you would go to commissary, and we didn't use money, we used clacker. It was company money. We had a meat market on one side and the grocery store and the dry goods on the other side. If you went to the meat market, and sometimes you might want, if you wanted pork chop, they wouldn't sell you no pork chop. That was for the big shots. So they tell you couldn't get no pork chop. So you had to get what you could get.
What if you wanted to shop somewhere else outside of the company store?
You had a few folks able to do that, but most of them, they always was in debt to the company. Made you owe your soul to the company store. Most of the men was in that shape.
A poor man's made out of muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load the 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
World of glass and stone.
Down a skin bone. Watching neon sunsets to jukebox serenades. Looking for some romance.
We are down to skin and bone, Brandy. So, go to the company store. So, basically, let me just lay it out real quick. And then I know you got a piece from PBS that we want to get into just real quick. But let me just lay it out for you, ladies and gentlemen. You were wandering the country looking for work. There wasn't any anywhere. If you ended up at this place there where you could pick yourself some fruit on the trees, and they said, here's your little shack. You can live in this shack. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars per week. And then here's the company store. You can get all your goods here. And so you wouldn't make enough every week, Brandy, to afford your rent on your house and to be able to buy food and whatnot at the store. So, the company, they're always looking out for their workers now, aren't they? So they made the food available to you there at the company store at high prices. And then you would buy this food at like 3 or 4 times the price and end up owing the company store more money than you had the ability to pay, Brandy. And so what did that do? Well, that's called sort of its indentured servitude, because at that point you owe the company. They won't let you leave until you pay them off, and you can never make enough money to pay them off. So basically you're a slave. Why don't you jump into that piece, that chunk from PBS, and let's get started with the show. My name's Jimmy, it's In the Microcosm. Here comes Brandy Lou. Go ahead, Brandy.
So the company store is not a new concept. It's been around for a long time, and I've actually seen, like on TV, different versions of this, but it might be a coal mining town. It might be that they're getting turpentine or gold or all kinds of things, but what happens is the jobs that are available might be too far away, so somebody would trek on over into the next town or even farther over, maybe travel a couple of days, and that would be another reason why they'd need to live there. But in some situations, the town's developed out of a paternalistic effort to create this wonderful workers village for people. They'd have churches and schools and libraries and other amenities involved.
All right.
And they encouraged healthy communities and productive workers. And they would keep saloons and any other type of place or service that they believed would be having a negative influence on them. So they prohibited those. But in other cases, the company's motivations were not so benevolent. They would prevent the workers from leaving. They closed off transportation, and they didn't allow for any other jobs. You couldn't buy from other independent merchants. So just like you said, Jamie, they could not pay enough to get their debt settled. So they would constantly be in debt to the company. And say, for example, if somebody wanted to do a certain thing like turn their home that they were renting into a little business and do a little business there, they're not allowed to do it without permission of the company. And that wasn't really something that they wanted to do because it benefited the employee, which
right.
I agree, it's
so
a form of slavery.
So the company gave you permission. So what did they do? They issued you a permit, just like what we have now. You want to start a business, you need to have a permit. And why do you need a permit? Because you need permission. And who is it that we're getting this permission from? These governmental agencies, are these the middle managers in the corporation known as America, the United States of America? I think it is. And I think you can find direct correlation to this business model and take a look around you and ask yourself, do you know anybody who's not in debt? Do you know anybody who can just quit working right now and just, I don't feel like it, And you know anybody, Brandy? And do you know one person?
No, I don't. They're in debt in some way. Even if they've worked really hard not to be, it's just practically impossible unless you're really living off the grid, because it can owe in so many ways and not even know you did. Suddenly you get a tax bill you didn't know you had because your mortgage company didn't take the money out the correct way. I mean, there's things that can happen. We always finding ourselves in debt, no matter how hard we try.
Well, luckily for us, when we get to the ultimate point of what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen, it's really going to come together for you in a way that I think will be mind blowing. Simply because we see single family dwellings being bought up, and as we brought to the table last week, even in the infrastructure plan that Biden's put forward, there's monies to states that rezone away from single-family dwellings and start putting in multi-family dwellings, and that's because they're planning on people being transient and immigrants. You're just a worker on the company store. That's it. And we'll get into some of the things surrounding this, like the constitutional free zone, for example. These companies are now. It's really funny because. You know how this whole thing came up? There's whole lingo. It's like repurposing. Repurposing means you take one thing, make it into something else, or you give a gift to somebody, and then you re-gift, or whatever. You know what I mean, Brandy? Have you heard this whole? Well, they're reimagining. Now you can go type this in a search. Go type in reimagining the company store. They literally think it's a good idea to reimagine that bad boy. Well, I mean, what's wrong with the one that they already got going here? In other words, people don't even realize there is a company store going on in America, Brandy. People don't even realize it at all, that's literally the system that we live under. But let's reimagine it. These companies are going to come to the table now. We noticed here in the Silicon Valley, one of the biggest purveyors of the Federal Reserve note power that they wield is Google. Google and Alphabet and some of these companies now have all come to the table, haven't they, Brandy? They're all coming to the table. Oh, yeah, they're coming to the table, Brandy, aren't they? They're just coming to step right up and take care of us, aren't they? They're going to build us a little city, aren't they, Brandy? Over here. Isn't Google going to go build us a little city?
They're going to build a master plan city, and it's a corporate town for its employees. Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. You know, a lot of leading companies are calling for people to work from home these days. And so the idea we thought for a while was that people were going to start working from home more. But it may not become the standard in a post-COVID-19 world like people thought it would, because Amazon and Alphabet, Google's parent company, have made this design for a massive company town project in Mountain View, California. So the tech behemoth is going to build a combination of houses, retail stores, parks, and recreations, and a corporate campus spanning 40 acres. So it's taking a page from the past. So it looked back at the company store in the 1800s, and America experienced an economic boom at that time. So they're seeing that the company-owned towns flourished. They were fueled by corporations seeking workers to extract natural resources. And of course, now it would be high tech. But the gold rush brought in thousands of 49ers from across the country, which led to the growth of San Francisco. But Google's vision, which is called the Middlefield Park Master Plan, it's an updated version of the company town. And it's going to offer roughly 1.33 million square feet of office space, residential housing, open air recreational space, commercial buildings, retail shopping, and a host of other amenities. And the search engine company will hold ownership of the campus. One of the reasons they're doing this, they say, is because the cost of living in San Francisco and surrounding areas has really prohibited many people from living near work. So they're having to do a lot of traveling to get into work. And with the recent civil unrest and loosening of some laws, San Francisco residents are not really happy about living there like maybe they used to be. And they've complained about it. There's a lot of out in the open drug usage, homeless people everywhere, and just an overall increase in crime and deterioration. So they want to take care of all of that for them.
I know, it's just such unsterile activity. You know, let's build, you know, this is typical, you know, in the past, you know, the people with the money and stuff, they're always behind the walls into these nice little areas where it's, you know, castle, and they got all their stuff in there, and everybody else is out here toiling and fighting, you know, trying to get in the castle, and everything's all good. So, you know, when, the shit is hitting the fan, but don't worry, come on over to Google, you know, because we hire Blackwater for our security. You know, try to go on a Google property and see what happens to you. I have a buddy who's a surveyor. He was out surveying out on some Google property because I live right near where they're talking about. I grew up in that town where they're going to build that. That was a sweet town, okay? That was a town where all the hippies moved to in the 60s because there's so many Victorians in that town in Palo Alto, so in Mountain View area. So Mountain View is mostly farms. Across from there is you have Moffett Field, where Google leased the airport for 60 years. Try to build an airport. And guess what, man? If you're in an airport, what is that? A 50-mile ring, doesn't it, Brandy? An international airport? It draws a 50-mile ring around wherever it is, and in that there is an international zone. That's a constitutional free zone. So I wonder if your constitutional rights are going to apply on Google's little company store campus over there, Brandy. Probably not, simply because, you know, they're like 3 miles away from an international airport. So, probably going to be a constitutional free zone there, Brandy. What do you think? Oh, would you think you'll be able to buy a house there? Or maybe what you can do is get suckered into renting a house, but calling it a condo, where you pay the same amount of rent, you own nothing, and you pay a couple $300-400 extra for maintenance. You and all the other thousands of people that are living there. So, yeah, so it sounds like an exciting place to be over there. What's it called, Brandy? What did they call it? Did they have a name for it? Was it called Utopia?
It was called, it was in here, but
Googletopia. That's right.
Googletopia. Isn't that an awesome name for that?
It could be. My name's Jimmy. It is Into the Microcosm. we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. We barely even scratching the surface on this yet, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard about it? Remember they're talking about their Brandy with the big work flow going after everybody was running to these boom towns. Remember the boom towns?
Right.
Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Get ready for the new boom town, because guess what it's called? That's right. Zoom Town. Coming to a town near you. Zoom Town. That's right. All those people working from home, ejecting themselves from these cities into these smaller communities across the country. Because you know what it is? Musical chairs to 2030. You better get where you're going. Because when the music stops, if you don't have somewhere to sit, you're going to be a renter from that point forward. That's right. Because the Great Reset, boom. You're going to be a traveler or a transient worker in your own country. That's right. There's some UN documents that are being signed secretly around the world by countries that no one's really even quite aware of. And we're going to bring those to the table tonight because it ties right in with what we're talking about buying up all these single-family homes, about eliminating your ability to own property. That's right. Well, you know what? You don't own any property because somebody owned it before you. That's right. Ooh, you thought reparations were inflammatory. Wait till you hear what's about to happen. That's right. Mine's Jimmy. We'll be right back after bottom of the hour.
He called to Jimmy the Weed. He said, hey man, I know your name. I seen you cruising with the lowriders, hanging out down on First Street and Main, tuning and listening to the hoodoo rhythm devils. Around the bay, they got some crazy DJ. Send you right out to heaven.
We're fully listener supported. So mosey on down and become a supporter. We'll be right back.
He was taken back. Johnny the Fox, you old sly cat. Cleverly the fox conceals his stash. Crisp dollar bills could leave no tracks in the back of a black Cadillac. The voodoo music travels down Skid Row, only black men can go. The shady deal unravels.
Okay, Brandy, we're out of there.
Okay.
All right, so take care of everybody in the chat. I have to run and get some coffee because my throat is really scratchy. I got to get some hot drink on it.
Better do that.
Be right back.
Okay. Let me say hello to you guys. Hi, John. Hi, Lizzie. Good to see you. Rusty, hello. And Dirt Engineer. Rusty, did I say you? I think I did. It's hard to read this and get everybody, you know. Gang of Fours out there with us. And Bella's here. Marty's here. Did I miss anybody? Jump up and down. Tell me you're here if I missed you. I think that's it. So, anyway, yeah, you are not going to believe what's next. If you're driving, pull over, because what we have to share with you next is it's something to really think about, and I think we're probably going to get into it some more on another show because we just simply cannot cover all of it this time. But you can also look it up too. So we'll get you started, and we're going to probably, you know, we always bounce back to stuff that we have covered anyway and connect things together. But This one really got me thinking. So I hope you find it interesting and helpful. And as always, I hope it is something that helps you to prepare and just be informed and kind of help you share with other people in your life that might benefit from the information, even if they don't necessarily think they're going to, because I know sometimes people just don't want to listen. But really, guys, we're at a point, if people don't want to listen, I don't think we can really help them anymore. Do you? I mean,
all right, stand
they've
by.
got to start thinking about it on their own too. Hold on. I heard Jimmy.
I'm here. I'm just getting us ready. Hang on, man. I gotta find something.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Hey, do me a favor and send me that thing that you found again, real quick.
Okay.
Oh fuck, we gotta go back. I'll do it myself. Never mind. I'll go back and find it. I'll go back and get. Oh man, it's not in here. It's in that other call. Fuck. Hang on.
I'll get it, Jimmy. I'll get it.
All right, you gotta get it because I gotta get some music to go back with. Do this. Hey everybody on the chat, good to see you. Stand by. Hang on.
Walking shoes.
All right, here we go. Get ready to go back, Brandy. I'm going back now. Right now. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
You burn with us.
Good evening.
Are you awake yet? I hope. We've tried and we've tried for years and years to use passive resistance and loud voices to make a change. The time is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Revolution Radio. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
My name's Jimmy.
Just one more morning. I have to wake up with the blues. Pull myself out of bed, yeah. Put on my walking shoes. Climb up on a hilltop, baby. See what I can see, yeah. Whole world's falling down, baby. Right down in front of me. I'm high up on home dreams I'm never gonna see again. Lord help me, baby. Dream get the best of me, yeah.
Katrina Otuomie was living in Seattle, Washington. But 6 months after the city shut down, she moved somewhere that confused some of her friends.
Alabama, really? Are you sure? I've been getting a little bit of that. I think for some people, there's a lot of misconceptions about the South and the people that live here.
Otowonia moved to the Shoals, a region in northwestern Alabama she'd never heard of until this year. That's because the Shoals doubled down on a program that has generated awareness for the area amid the pandemic. The region is offering up to $10,000 to qualified remote workers who relocate to the area. In June, the program opened up to 25 participants, up from 10 the year before. And it's one of several metropolitan areas in the U.S. paying remote workers to move. Now that remote work has taken off.
My rent is less than half of what it was before. My last apartment, I think, was about 500 square feet. I think this one is 1,100.
In the Sheffield.
So I'm going to stop at their Zoom towns, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. They're developing all around you as we speak. People are exiting stage left in droves out of these cities, out of these steel and glass canyons of death, and out where they could stretch their legs, Brandy. But listen, these are the places where houses are still affordable at this point. But do you think they will be for much longer? Because she just said my rent in Seattle was twice what I'm paying here, and she had half the amount of square feet. So she had 500 square feet in Seattle. She was paying twice as much in here over in Alabama. She's got herself 1,100 square feet, and she's paying half as much. And that means, woohoo, you know, Brandy, that means she's got some extra money in her pocket, doesn't it?
Well, hopefully, if she managed well. But the same thing happened to me when I moved from California to Texas. I had double the space and a yard because I was able to buy a house for half the amount that I was paying in rent in California. But now, 13 years later, it's getting expensive out here. It's still very, very economical compared to other parts of the country, but compared to what it was, it's like almost double what it was. So I don't think she's going to experience that joy for forever.
Well, the thing is, we got about 10 years till 2030, and the 2030 program, you know, is fully implemented. And so leading up until that point, like I said, it's musical chairs. As long as the music's still playing, you can still find yourself a place to sit. But when that music stops, there's not going to be any place to sit, because you now, from this point forward, be aware that you will be in a bidding war for every single house that you buy against some financial institution or some group that's trying to buy up every little house that they can. They don't care where they are. There could be one over here and one over there. But see, what they do is they do them in this, you know, buy these big groups and put thousands and thousands of these rentals into one big giant thing that generates X amount of money per month. See, that's what you gotta start to equate as far as, will this work for this investment? And it will, because I mean, look, if I was selling this investment to you, Brandy, and I said, hey, Brandy, you know, listen, we're buying up all these single family homes, we're going to pool them together, we're going to get 1,000 homes on each one of our little bid offers that we're going to put out, and we need $1 million from each one of our investors. Will you step up for $1 million? Because, you know, there'll be substantial return for you at the end of the year for your $1 million. It's not going to be too hard for people to generate hundreds of millions of dollars from people who all of a sudden, how many new millionaires were made over the last year with all this? I think I saw something. I think there was quite a few of them, quite a few billionaires as well. Brandy.
Yeah, like 13,000 or 39,000, something like that.
Yeah, so everybody's looking for somewhere to stash their money. And what a great place to launder money than in one of these giant real estate pyramid scheme like Bernie Madoff was running. So, I mean, I'm going to better put on my bulletproof vest after this show, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm telling you right now, there's people that are making a killing off this right now, and they're going to continue to make a lot of money. So sussing out who these companies are if you want to make money on the ride on the way down, because there's not going to be anything anybody's going to really be able to do to stop any of it unless you find yourself a nice little town you can move to, a little Zoom town.
Region of the Shoals. $10,000 is about enough for a 20% down payment on a 2 or 3 bedroom house.
And we have, more rural areas where you could go get a mini farm and have quite a few acres and have some horses and goats and all that kind of stuff. If that's what you're wanting, then we've got that too.
See, Brandy? It lines up with everybody, what everybody's thinking. Everybody wants to get the F out of the city and have a little farm where they could grow their own little vegetables and have their own little thing going on. And there's still just a little bit of time left, ladies and gentlemen, while the music's still playing for you to get someplace. Did you hear that? You know the prices of the houses that she was pointing at were like less than $100,000. Nobody wants to live in these places. You could go there, it's like, turn it into a cool place. The whole downtown is half dead. Nobody's even there. A bunch of new people come in, coffee shop, bar, next thing you know, hey, everybody's hanging out in the summertime out on the street. Comes a cool artist community. They got high-speed internet connections. Everybody's making fat money. Zoomtown. What do you think, Brandy? Sounds exciting, doesn't it? You could be making.
It does sound exciting. I want in.
I know you could make your. You could have your high-tech job where you're making some fat chunks, and you could just be sitting back hacking your keyboard all day in some little town somewhere. And as soon as you're done and you put it away, you go outside and man, you don't got nothing to worry about. There ain't no people burning your town down or doing any of that, People are just watching the grass grow and the paint dry, And now you come in there, young people, new blood, everybody comes in, they turn these new places into these new rental places where you could go and rent a bunch of houses, And so there's a good amount of towns in America that have a tourist drive, and lots of people show up with weeks worth of disposable income to spend in your town. And a lot of those towns, the biggest problem they have in those towns is that there's not enough places for workers to live. So there's more workers than there is space for those workers to rent. Those workers are priced out of the market in most of these towns because these towns are resort towns and these are highbrow vacation resorts for rich people. And basically everybody in the town surrounding the rich people town is where all the renters work. These are the people that actually service the rich neighborhoods, fix the stuff that's broken, the dry cleaners, the mechanics. Everybody's working. The whole economy basically revolves around people working for the elite and then people servicing those workers in town by fixing their beat-up vehicles and, so on and so forth. And so, but what happens is once the ecosystem develops a meal that's too big to eat for the people that live there, they need to bring more people in because there's more work to be done than the people in that area are there to do it. So they start bringing these people start showing up, but there's nowhere for them to live. They need rentals. And so that's the thing. So when they rezone these single family homes and they bring in these rental units where there's, you can put a footprint of, 1,000 apartments at, $1,500 a month in, a couple where there was a couple of houses before. So, so in a world where workers will move to where the work is, and when there's no room left for the other workers, there's not enough work, then those workers will move on to some other country and work there. So that's the idea behind the 2030 reset, is that you're going to need a passport to cruise around, and no matter what country you're in, America included. And they're already starting to get you used to the idea with calling it a immunity passport, but what it really is a passport within the North American Union, and we're going to get into that on the other side of the top of the hour. But right now what we're talking about is Zoom towns.
We've seen a lot of applications and a lot of people that have said, pre-pandemic I wouldn't have even thought about this, but now I'm kind of thinking this may be the route that I wanted to go.
Cottle says so far, 14 remote workers have relocated to the Shoals from places including San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, Dallas, Washington, D.C., Nashville, and Atlanta. Someone even inquired from Hawaii.
Hawaii? I'm sorry, we love our community, but you want to move from Hawaii? And she was like, the cost of living is outrageous.
Metro areas like the Shoals see an opportunity to stimulate their economies. Now that people are working remotely in record numbers and can more or less choose where they want to live. That's why I'm working here at the beach in California right now, while my office in Midtown Manhattan is closed. While estimates vary, a Stanford study from June 2020 finds that about 42% of U.S. workers are now working from home full-time. That's a norm.
So, Brandy, it's there seems to be a distinct difference between what Google was saying was the trend and what the trend actually seems to be. So Google's saying, well, the big tech giants, they're not going to be having people work from home. They're gonna have people working from campus. But maybe what they mean is they're going to have 60% of their workers on these campuses, because the other 42%, they're going to be living in Zoom towns, working around, and you know, there's financial incentive for you to go to a Zoom town too. So, and this doesn't just end in America, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's countries around the world that are now starting to offer these financial incentives for you to come there and work remotely from another country. So they're already starting to get people used to this idea, Brandy.
Yes, and what I find interesting, if you think about it, this kind of model isn't new. It's just the implementation that changes. Because if you consider, for example, the religious groups and groups even from other countries that live together and operate in tribes and just groups where they share the same kind of cultural values and lifestyles. So what it comes down to is, how, you know, what is the goal? Is it really benevolent to take care of the people, or is it another moneymaker? And I think that's what we're really looking at right now. And how does it all intersect with all the other things that are going on in our economy, in our world, in the so-called leadership, and what the elite want and all the agendas that they have. So it is a lot to look at, Jimmy.
It is. It's almost too much to try to even get into a part two in this last 2 hours, or we only even have an hour and 20 minutes. So I want to expand a little bit more on this Zoomtown idea, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm showing it to you for an example, because it may be a safety valve or something that you're being on the upside of this information. You may not make money off the investments like everybody else is going to do, but if you know what's going on, you can bust out to one of these Zoom towns while the getting's good, get yourself a seat. When the music stops, you'll be safe. And then from that point on, you know, you just live it out. You know, but in the future, though, I don't think people are going to be owning too much of this free, you know, property.
People moving to them like it's nobody's business. What is causing this amazing phenomena? And will it be affecting you personally in the near future? Well, the answer is coming up right now. Hi, I'm Barry Diamond, your guide for all things real estate. And in this video, I'm going to tell you about this new phenomena called Zoomtowns and why they're popping up all over the nation and all over the West. Now, if you're living on the Central Coast, specifically Monterey County, I've got some news for you at the end of this video that might really surprise you about what's going on in our local area. But first, what is a Zoomtown? Well, Zoomtowns are booming areas for remote workers looking to get away from these urban centers during the pandemic. People who've had well-paying jobs that once lived in these urban areas for reasons such as great restaurants, theaters, nightlife, now find that many of those amenities are no longer available. And because so many people have been told by their employers that they no longer have to come into a primary workplace, a geographical area, People are now escaping the big city urban congestion, environmental issues, expensive and limited housing, and a general decline in the quality of life. And guess where they're moving? That's right, to Zoomtown. Housing markets that are booming as remote work, aka Zoom, takes off. Now here's the criteria for these Zoom towns. They're usually a smaller town than where people are moving from, and price is super important, okay? A Zoom town has to be inexpensive, or at least less expensive than where people are moving from. And Zoom towns are generally areas that have medium price, single family homes, a lower population density, wide open spaces, and some recreational opportunities like a national park, an ocean, or a body of water where people can enjoy the great outdoors, right? Where they can breathe. But people are also used to the amenities, so a bigger city or town is usually within 20 to 30 minutes of these Zoom towns.
So, Brandy, these Zoom towns. So the thing is about a city, it's a concentration camp. So everything is concentrated into this area. So they concentrate humanity, all these businesses, everything. It's a concentration camp is what a city is. So, and because everything is everything's there, you know, when you disperse it from that city across the country, so all these little great entrepreneurs running these little restaurants, and, you know, in New York, where, you know, the restaurant really doesn't mean squat, you know, just to the people that know about it. But other than that, you know, but they could take that same restaurant idea and go to some small town, and it would be the best restaurant in town, Brandy. So the thing is, being a bigger fish in a smaller pond is a good idea. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's really a great idea for people to exit these concentration camps where everything's concentrated into one giant glass and steel death grind every day, 40 hours a day, you know, it's just grinding it out. But you you bust out to the Zoom town, nighttime falls, and all you hear is crickets, man. Crickets, Brandy. Sounds good, doesn't it? I mean, cut your bills in half. I mean, I'm sure the cost of living is a lot cheaper in a lot of these places too, as far as food is concerned. You could probably get yourself some good, you know, who knows, with you take these ideas from the city that are, like I say, in the concentration camps, and move out to these farm areas, and you're going to find out you could just go next door and buy your eggs from somebody, and you can get some milk down the road too. You know, and So this sounds like a perfect utopia style place. This sounds like more like the utopia that we're looking for, not the provided company store type of utopia, Brandy.
Yes, and hopefully that can or could happen. I know where I live, it's a lot like that. We do get eggs from each other. People can get milk down the road. There are rules, though, that they put into place. You can't get raw milk. You're not supposed to get raw milk. Well, so people have to make the decision, you know, are they going to follow the rules that the leaders made, or are they going to live, you know, and live free?
Well, I think
so. It just seems like there's always something coming down on them.
I don't think there should be a third party involved in anything going on between me and my neighbor. And, you know,
I agree.
And in these smaller towns, there probably isn't. You know, it's probably like Andy Griffith. You know, and the thing is you know, the world is your oyster at that point, right? But you have to be able to make that decision to get out of the concentration camp where everything is. I want to get a pizza. Like, you know, this certain kind of pizza you can only get from this one place, this kind of thing. People are creatures of habit. But like I say, if you...
Yes, that's very true. And you have to realize that it may be farther. I mean, it takes us half an hour to get into town. And people that have not experienced that don't understand that. And if there's a medical emergency, well, we've got it set up that we can get an air vac. You know, it's something we pay through our utility bills. So there's certain things that we do to work together, like you said, to make that work for us. And sometimes we just have to look the other way when a rule's broken, because it doesn't fall into our pattern of our little utopia. So yeah, you're correct about that.
Well, mostly for the corporation, the rules are there because of liability issues and no other reason. They don't care one way or the other, and to make a few bucks off the permit or the license that you get to go do whatever it is you're going to do. But here's the thing. to take contemporary thinking people with technology at their fingertips and moving them into these dying towns where most of the folks that live there their whole lives, and their kids are dying out. There's nobody left, and there's this real cool town just sitting there somewhere, just waiting for some people to show up and give it some paint and bring in their new technology stuff, and the whole thing is they've done this program where they run quite a bit of fiber optic cable throughout all of these rural lands that people doesn't even really know about. It has to do with the agriculture package that they put together a few years ago, that there was a bunch of funding in there for them to get fiber out to these rural communities. So perfect timing, wouldn't you say, Brandy, for a Zoom town to have a little bit of fiber? And now
again, let's go.
And there you go. And now you got Elon Musk putting those satellites up, so where your fiber is impossible, you got your high-speed internet right there from old Elon. You get your Muskaphone, and you're all set. Use it as a modem, and bam, you're working. You're up and running, man. And I don't know. It sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, when the music stops, you don't have a chair, you won't own property in the future. It's just the way it's going to be. And so the time is now. If you ever thought about it, you ever wanted to do it, if you ever thought about it, look at $10,000 to move to the place to be a remote worker is a down payment on a little chunk of something for yourself. Before it's too late, ladies and gentlemen, find yourself a small town and zoom the hell out.
This radio station was named Audio Slave in honor of the last American heroes to whom speed means freedom of the soul. The question is not when it's gonna stop.
My name's Jimmy.
But who is gonna stop them?
Who was here before the white man? Who got here first? Who owns America? Who owns North America? Who owns all these lands across this world, ladies and gentlemen? Who is it? Take a guess. Well, if you can't figure it out, when we come back, I'm going to tell you all about it. It's time to undrip, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out about it. Things are a-changing, and you're about to become a foreigner in your own land. My name's Jimmy. We'll be right back. All right, we're out of there, Brandy.
So people in the chat room are asking how long we have to do this and how long we need to be there.
You need to do it now. But what I was going to bring up is you could get a whole group of people to do it together, and then each one of you get the $10,000, and then take that money and buy some old hotel or whatever and turn it into a fucking sweet spot, man.
That'd be smart.
My name's Jimmy. If you need an idea, just give me a call. I am the idea man.
He is.
All right.
He's always got ideas about something.
All right. Well, we're going to have to, let's see here. I'm going to get something for coming back. Are you ready to go with the undrip?
The undrip. I am ready to undrip the undrip.
All right. And where do you have that? I sent you a recent article from Forbes.
Yes, you've sent me that twice, and I cannot get it to open. I've copied and pasted. I've done everything I can, and it will not open.
Send it to me in here. Forward it to me in here.
Okay. Got it.
Booby booby doo. Hey, hang on. What is this?
What is a Zoomtown, and why are so many...
That's not it.
Oh, that's the last thing you sent me. Okay, let me look again.
Never mind. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll just do it. Take care of the chat. I can't talk to them and do this at the same time.
Let me go back to the chat here. Here we go.
Oh, I know I can find it really easy because I sent it to somebody else, and I know they didn't.
Didn't mess it up like I did. No, just kidding. So
no, it's not that. It's just that we've said a bunch of shit since I sent it to you, so I got to scroll back for like a month and a half looking for the shit. That's all. So now I only sent it to him, and I didn't send nothing else, so I got it here.
cool. Okay.
All right. So,
Yeah, because I scrolled too. It's probably how I missed it.
Okay, so go to, you want to be on number 20, you want to start on number 25 on that?
Sure.
And then go into, when we come back and everything, go into a description about it. And let me get, let me get something here. Let me get the ghost dance. Hold on. Fuck, hold on. Ghost dance. Where is it? Oh man, don't fuck with me now. Where is it? Ghost dance. Here it is. Ghost dance, wounded knee. Okay, come back. We're about to go back. Just be ready.
Okay.
Here we go. Stand by. Fuck. Commercial. Still up. Hang on. Damn it. Okay. All right, I'm going back. Here we go. About to go back. Right now. And
is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Came to me when the sun went into shadow and I lay dying. And in my death, I saw the heavens of the white robes. Yes, it is as they describe it. But also there, my children, all the Indians that ever roamed this earth. All your beloved ancestors and mine, and those young ones who were taken by the white man's diseases. Do not grieve for them. They want you to know that they are happy. Yes. And you should not grieve for yourselves, Because here is what the white robes did not tell you. The white man, my children, will soon be no more. Now you must not hate the white man. This will only delay his end. But if you will do the dance that I will teach you, all the ancestors will return, and the buffalo will be renewed, and you shall all live forever. Forever.
Well, when you're sitting back in your rose pink Cadillac, making bets on Kentucky Derby Day, I'll be in my basement room with a needle and a spoon and another girl to take my pain away. Take me down, little Susie, take me down. I know you think you're the queen of the underground, and you can send me dead flowers every morning.
My name's Jimmy. That was the Ghost Dance at Wounded Knee. So, the white man's days are numbered, ladies and gentlemen, apparently. No place left. Unless you find a Zoomtown, maybe. Unless you find a Zoomtown, I don't know. What I do know is part of what we were talking about not owning any land, about not owning any property, about not being able to own land or property anywhere in the world. You'll own nothing and love it. And the reason is because you're not the owner of it. Somebody else owned it before you got here, Brandy, didn't they? Somebody else was the owner, wasn't they, Brandy? They owned it. And you,
That is what I understand.
it wasn't discovered, Brandy. It was reinvented and called something else. So it was reimagined by Christopher Columbus when he got here, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, let's get into this now. Tell everybody what we're getting into. Bruce McDonald passed this along to me because he thought it would be relevant to what we were talking about last week, and it is because it's pretty intense. And not to say, when talking about this, we're not implying that there isn't any type of responsibility that needs to happen over the native peoples of all the lands across the world. But this type of thing is going to be, it's going to be the kind of thing where you won't be able to say anything against it. It'll be like, you're not for drunk driving, are you, Brandy? You know, it's like, I don't think people should have to take a test on the side of the road for drunk driving, and because it's against their freedom of speech, and it's against their ability to testify against themselves. You know what I mean, Brandy? And then they go to you, well, Brandy, you're not for drunk drivers, are you? I mean, you can't argue against it because, let's face it, there were people around the world before these white Europeans, set out on their ships. And, not just white Europeans, but just people in general, Vikings, whoever, floating around on their ships, landing in places. and getting in scraps with the people that were there and taking it over, you know, and that's pretty much the way that it is. But I mean, does anybody own land though? I mean, I'm just going to ask this, you know, point blank. I'll ask any native of any country around the world if they ever had the feeling throughout their existence as a people that they owned the land. Because the answer is no. They don't own the land. They're part of the land. The people are part of. They do not stand above or own. Your ability to go put your teepee, your house, your little place, where you want to live, someplace on this God's green earth that He created for us, it's free. There's nobody that owns that. No one's, you know, that little piece of land right there. But you don't own more than you need. See, that's where everything went wrong, Brandy. People want to own not only their little place here that they're living in, but they want to own that over there, and all this and all that and all the other stuff. That's where this system came into being. Is people owning more than they actually use or need. So, turning land back over to the natives in every country around the world is a big mission for the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen. It's called UNDRIP. Brandy, let everybody know about UNDRIP, would you please?
I certainly will. So, UNDRIP stands for United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. There's a lot of articles in it. We would no way be able to cover it all. So, we're telling you about some of it. I'm going to give you Article 25.
And I would also, I want to point out too, if you are a native person, you need to be aware of this too, because what you can do is get yourself aware of it and then take advantage of what's going to be offered there, because this is moving forward. There's no question. This is going to move forward. So if you're a native person, just like we've been hearing rumblings about reparations, well, this is the ultimate reparation is about to happen, ladies and gentlemen. They're about to give the planet back to the natives. Go ahead, Brandy.
Sure. And the question that I had when going through this is, what if you're 1/16th Native American? You know, it does bring up a lot of questions, but let's get into this here. So Article 25, I am paraphrasing, saying Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands. See, so there's some qualifiers there. Territories, waters, and coastal seas and other resources, and to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard. So very, sense of permanency here. Now, one thing I do want to point out, as I was studying this, there is a term that came up. You guys might want to look this up because it really applies, I believe, to what's going on here and what's going on in a lot of the plans that are being made without our input, and we are required to cooperate. It's called strategic essentialism, and this involves promoting Maori ethnic cultural identity as authentic and homogeneous and stable. So meaning, it's simplifying a group, identifying it in one way to achieve a certain political and goals and social goals, and to gain authority and resources within that. So this is coming from the liberal political economy, and it's because they have to make good on their promises of equity and equality. Where have we been hearing that? That's really been coming up for the past few years. Mm-hmm. And the nations and states have promised this but failed to deliver it. So I'm very, very suspicious that this is going to come to a town near you soon.
Well, here, let me just say, typically we don't here. Article from 3921, The Hill. Okay? 3921, The Hill. The time to return land to Native Americans is long overdue. President Joe Biden's pick for Interior Secretary, Republican, blah, 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 will be responsible for upholding the country's treaties with Native Americans. Haaland could also use her unique position to rectify one of the most damaging early Indian policies of the United States, which sought to break down tribes, assimilate natives, the systematic dispossession of the native land. Along with the enslavement of black Americans, this forced land dispossession was one of the country's most significant transgressions. Many of the biggest challenges facing Native communities today, from rampant poverty to lower social economic mobility and health issues cast in high relief by the pandemic, can be traced to the attempted extermination and then assimilation of the Native Americans through the American land policy. Brandy. Land dispossession is at the root of contemporary property rights and landholding across the Americas. See, this is the North American Union, ladies and gentlemen. The lines that are drawn on the paper that signify borders, states, counties, cities, they don't exist. These lines are drawn on there by these white European settlers across the world. So, do you understand what I'm trying to drive to you in terms of trying to toss it out and show you? Land dispossession is at the root of contemporary property rights and landholding across the Americas. European colonizers and migrants displaced indigenous populations across the hemisphere and created exclusionary private property rights systems for themselves that ignored prior land occupants. So we got ourselves a situation, Brandy. Why don't you let people know? You want to get into number 25, I think it is on there on section. There's quite, this thing is a giant, but we're gonna get into 25, 26, 27, I think, at least right now. Yeah. So so for the time being, while you're getting that together, let's take a listen to.
I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it. Oh, go ahead though.
Or do you got it? You're gonna.
I have it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead and.
25.
Yeah. Go ahead and read number.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead and read number 25.
Okay. Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas, and other resources to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard. Did I not just read that?
I think you did, but that's okay. Go ahead and read number 26. That's the next one on there, and 26 and 27 are real important. Go ahead.
But one of the things I want to mention too is when you're talking about what an indigenous person is, you need to understand what that means. And you know, you have the notion of a place-based human ethnic culture, like people are in their own place, and when you're talking about indigenous, you're not talking about people who've migrated from their quote-unquote homeland. So it's not a settler or a colonial population, or it's not, you know, a what we refer to as Native American population, the people that were first here. It's, you know, all of us have our own place where it was native to us. And when you're talking about the whole world, my question is, are they looking at putting people in their place? Is it a polarization of a sense? So let me go back to 26. Indigenous people, some of it's very repetitive, so if it sounds like I'm saying the same thing, it might be repetitive words, but they do each have their own point. So indigenous people have the right to the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired. They have the right to use and own and develop and control those lands and territories and resources that they possess by reason of traditional ownership or other traditional occupation or use, as well as those which they have otherwise acquired. And states shall give legal recognition and protection to these lands, territories, and resources. And the recognition shall be conducted with due respect to the customs, traditions, and land tenure systems of the indigenous peoples concerned.
So this is why the constitutional free zones that we brought up ties into this, because you're now a stranger in your own land. You're now, it's just, Brandy, the thing about this is, and it's so obvious, listen, when the slaves were freed, they were put into the company store model. And with the amendment, the 13th Amendment, it made everybody slaves. So, I mean, everybody's a slave in this country, regardless of the color of your skin. You're working to pay the company store model. You're living on the company store. It's a corporation. It's not the United States of America that you remember. And now, lo and behold, nobody has any ownership of any of the things that they own in this country or anywhere else right now. Ownership is being reimagined for the Native American peoples. Now, I'm sure they're going to be okay with letting you live on the land and let you move around and, go work at your job, and you'll still be able to participate in the company store. Only thing is, you'll have to have a passport to do it. You'll just have to have a passport, and I'm sure the passport will be an electronic passport. You tied directly into the identification of yourself that you're going to give momentarily to prove that you've partaken in some sort of a program to eliminate the possibility that you've caught something. So when you have your passport, your health passport to move around and get jobs and go on trains and fly around, we'll just use that directly to have it be your passport, Brandy. But realistically, you will own nothing and love it, and ba-boom. What are you going to do? I mean, the natives owned it before we got here, didn't they? So it wasn't like just somebody discovered a land. The land was being inhabited by people. So isn't it funny how now all of a sudden Americans are going to be the ones on the reservation? And so all of a sudden it seems like everything that was done to people, no one had a problem with it then when you were doing it to them. And now it's going to get done to you. And you're not going to like it, just like they didn't. Go look up the Trail of Tears, man. Go look at how they cut people's hair and made them, Brad, you just hit your camera. Go look at what they did to people, to Native Americans, when they brought them into those schools and started assimilating them and training them to make them be, I don't even know what to call it. I mean, to make them be what exactly? I mean, they already were something. This already was something. And so to the victors go the spoils of war. Brandy, let's take a listen. I don't even know if we have enough time. We do have enough time. Let's take a listen. Sitting Bull and Red Cloud Speak. Okay, this is from an HBO movie called Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And this is a chunk where they're coming in to sign some paperwork.
Because of confusion in the past, you will put your marks on one of the two papers here. You will sign the red paper, if you agree, which we hope that you do, and the black, if you don't.
So they will know who is a friend and who is not.
So they will know who to take rations from.
What is this?
Sir, this is not your agency. The council at Standing Rock is next week. You have no place here.
Do you not recognize who this man is?
I know. He is Sitting Bull. But I do not recognize him as having any more a voice than any other Indian here.
Hear me then, for one last time. They mean to take our land away from us. You may say they wish to give us land. This patch to you, this patch to you. But here is the truth. Each patch is for a man and all generations that follow them. And they know that this land cannot feed but one generation, not even so much as that.
All right, you had your say.
Do not interrupt. You teach our children the words of your God. Be fruitful and multiply. But it seems these words are not meant for the Indian. For what kind of man would take a wife and have children he cannot feed? No Indian man. Not a Lakota, not an Arikara, not a Crow. You would have us cut off our balls and end our race right here on a patch of land on which nothing can live. And that will not happen. I have spoken.
We did not put you on this land. Red Cloud surrendered. He made peace with the government. Have you forgotten the bloodshed that came before?
Sitting Bull is a great leader. I believe this no matter that the whites see us men all as the same. But he did not sit with us in the council those many snows ago when our reservation was made. He did not sit with us in the next council when these borders that we were told were like marks in stone were moved. And the Black Hills and our hunting lands were taken from us. Sitting Bull might have had his say, but such was his suspicion of the whites. Such was his pride. I say today, for all ears within hearing, that if Sitting Bull had spoken the way he speaks today, I would not have touched that pen. I will not touch your pen to your paper. I will not touch it to your red paper. I will not touch it to your black paper. The white man
Experience matters.
will not see my mark again on this paper for the rest of my days on this earth.
My name's Jimmy. It's Aftermath.fm. All right, Brandy, we're out of there.
Okie doke.
All right. So, what are we on? Number 27 or 8?
7. I just read 27. Let me double check. Yes, I read 27.
Take a look at 28, and I'm going to go find these constitutional free zones. Hang on. Hi, everybody in the chat. Sorry, I've been busy and haven't been able to chill in there with you guys. So, hang on when we're done. Just got to get through this because we're trying to put this together. Hold on a second. Stand by. DHS engages consular U.S. borders. Stand by.
To anyone planning to leave or enter the U.S., the civil rights watchdog of the Department of Homeland Security has ruled that searches and seizures of any and all electronic devices by Customs and Border Patrol
Okay, Brandy, pull up the ACLU website and see if you can get on there and type in constitutional free zones and see if you can find the definition of it. Okay, we got a couple minutes, so hang on. I gotta get something. Stand by. All right, stand by. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Okay.
It's giving me the zones. Is that what you're wanting? You want the definition, though.
Yeah, it should say on the page what a constitutional free zone is, and if not, just type in what is constitutional free zone and get a Wikipedia on it.
Alrighty.
All right, here we go. I gotta go back.
Okay.
Ready? And a 1 and a 2. Boom.
Represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Come on down and join the party. 30 minutes left.
It's against the Constitution. The sheriff is the constitutional sheriff. It's against the Constitution. I have rights. I have rights. I'm an American citizen. I'm an American. I have rights. I have the Constitution. It's the constitutional sheriff. Yeah, he's the real law enforcer. The sheriff. The constitutional sheriff.
The sun shines, people forget. The spray flies, speedboat glides, people forget they're hiding. The girls smile,
Your constitution don't mean squat. You live in a constitutional free zone. The country you called America is gone, bankrupt. You're in receivership waiting for the borders to drop and the North American Union to start. Yeah, but everybody's all arrested down in Gitmo or whatever. Sure they are. Don't be a chomp, ladies and gentlemen. Go on the ACLU website. I know it's liberal or whatever, but go over there and induce yourself to it and go find out where the constitutional free zones are in America. Because chances are you're living in one. Wonder why the Constitution don't apply? Well, that's why, because you're in a constitutional free zone.
A warning now to anyone planning to leave or enter the U.S. The civil rights watchdog of the Department of Homeland Security has ruled that searches and seizures of any and all electronic devices by Customs and Border Patrol is not a violation of a person's privacy. The Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Impact Assessment has found that the searches, quote, comply with the Fourth Amendment. They also conclude that imposing a requirement that officers have reasonable suspicion in order to conduct a border search of an electronic device would be operationally harmful without concomitant, in other words, contributing civil rights / civil liberties benefits. And here's the best part. The searches are allowed to be completely suspicionless, and they apply to anyone within a 100-mile radius of the borders. So do you see that red line that's going around the map? Well, if you're within that zone, like Milwaukee or Los Angeles or Seattle, your cell phone and laptop and other electronic devices can be searched without a cause. The DHS ordered this privacy assessment back in 2009, and the results were actually expected within 120 days, but it's actually been 1,200 days later that we actually get to read these findings. So to discuss this privacy issue, I'm joined now by Kevin Gostola. He's a blogger at Firedog Lake.
Okay, Brandy, let me stop it there. Constitutional free zones. There's an international agreement under international law in the UCC that these international airports have established as international zones. The 50-mile ring is drawn around these airports. And in some cases, like the Bay Area, there's 2 international airports. So those 2 50-mile rings would then be, joined together to join a giant footprint of unconstitutional zones. And that would include the Silicon Valley, San Francisco Airport, the Oakland Airport, and the San Jose Airport all have international flights. The Bay Area, the Silicon Valley, is not a constitutional zone, Brandy. Can you define the constitutional free zone for people who are unfamiliar with the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union? I know it's liberal or whatever, but you should, they do fight for people's rights, Brandy. What about these constitutional free zones?
They do. And, I was looking through this, and it actually states in one place that up to 66% of the country is in a constitutional free zone. So when we talk about rights, then that's not going to apply, or civil rights are not going to apply. But in this one abstract I found, it's saying that court rulings declared that the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution doesn't apply at checkpoints and spaces up to 100 miles north of the U.S.-Mexican border. So the argument is that there are states of exception, and the rights that we would ordinarily enjoy do not apply there. And this is all kinds of places all over the country. It would be constitution-free zone. It doesn't matter what race or gender or anything like that you are.
You have no Bill of Rights, you have no Constitution, because you're not in your country. Your country does not exist, ladies and gentlemen. Neither does mine. This is not the country we lived in. We are in receivership. $7 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. Go back and look at when Trump signed that paper for $7 trillion. It's over. The North American Union is about to become a reality. And And I'm telling you, the digital dollars, the passports, the whole thing, you not living in your own country, you're living on Native Americans' land. They'll let you live here, but you better follow the rules.
Hey there, Kevin. So for quite some time now, border agents have been able to search your car and your material possessions, suitcases and whatnot. We're in the digital age. Is this just the next step in a natural progression?
Well, it looks like the government would want to be able to get into anyone's electronic devices, and they have been using this authority and power at the border for quite some time now. I guess particularly in this.
So what you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is the red line that she was talking about is anywhere there's a coastline, that's a border. So 100 miles from the beach, anywhere you go, 100 miles from the ocean in, is constitutional free zone. And then there's international zones inside of those zones. So when Brandy says 60-some-odd% of the United States of America is a constitutional free zone, she's not kidding.
A so-called post-September 11th attacks world that the government has been constructing, they just feel they have the ability to intrude on anybody in order to do whatever they want to on behalf of national security.
Now, this directive allows Border Patrol agents to search and seize the electronic possessions of travelers within a 100-mile radius of this border, as I mentioned earlier. But it doesn't define who a traveler is, or not that I could find to any extent. So according to the ACLU, 190 million Americans fall within this 100-mile radius. Does that mean that any one of them...
190 million constitutional free Americans out of 300 and something million, Brandy.
Searched?
Good morning, America.
Yeah, hey, the constitutional sheriff is the one that's really in charge, though.
Well, and here it's saying that
in
order to look, they need to have evidence of wrongdoing. So how is that going to be proven? Very dicey.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell them you're a sovereign citizen?
Anybody who is
You're a freeman on the land, and you don't have to get out of your car and see what happens.
traveling will be searched or could be subject to an arbitrary search. I think that what is really troubling about the two-page executive summary, which isn't actually the report, the Department of Homeland Security is playing a secrecy game here, and they didn't release the actual impact assessment. They just gave us a summary to look at, and there's no basis for us to understand how they came to these conclusions, but the little that they do put down leads us to wonder, okay, people at the border are being discriminated against. Isn't that an issue? You acknowledge that people are complaining, and so I think that this is a reality, that people are being stopped and that they are being arbitrarily handled.
Well, there's also a lot of loopholes.
So Brandy, how do you can tell if you're a traveler, because it's not defined? So anybody could be a traveler. You can just say, hey, yeah, tell them you're a traveler. That's another thing you can tell them, right? If you're a sovereign citizen, I'm not driving. I'm in commerce. I'm a traveler. Well, you're a traveler, all right. You're a traveler because under that moniker, you're a traveler, and you can be pulled over and searched for no reason. Your phone could be taken. Your laptop could be taken. You could be detained you can be. Hey, Brandy, you can be detained for a period of time without anybody even doing anything to you. Without anybody even reading your rights. Why? Because you don't have any rights. That's why. You don't have to go.
Well, it's like traveling in another country. If you go there and you do something or you don't do something and they think you did, you're not going to have any rights. I've actually seen, there was a YouTube on a few years ago where a man got pulled over by the cops. He declared sovereignty. 15 cop cars later and 3 cars later, he's still sitting there in the car. They pulled in every police officer, every captain, everybody was there trying to figure out what to do.
Well, they know what to do. I mean, there's, people are getting shot and killed all over the country by cops every single day for whatever reason. You sneezed and you moved wrong in the wrong neighborhood, and you're going to be full of lead, full of holes. And before you get full of holes, maybe what they'll do is just pull you over, put some tie wraps on your hands, and make you come around to the back and sniff your trunk. sniff your trunk out and see what exactly we got in your trunk over there, Brandy. And actually, why don't you give me that cell phone too, and I'm going to go ahead and download everything here. And I'm also going to put you into this program where I can scan your social media pictures. And I'm going to find out everything about you while I have you back here with your hands behind your back, with your knees on the ground and your face towards the trunk of your car while I go through your belongings, because you're just a transient traveler on land in a country that doesn't belong to you. And you better do what you're told, or we're going to throw you in the hooshkow.
Law that I was able to read into anyway. Authorities are not allowed to discriminate against people by race or gender, but they also don't need to have reason for searches. The agents are supposed to adhere to federal standards when it comes to business secrets, medical documents, lawyer-client interactions, etc. But then again, if they find criminal activity, they don't have to prove, they don't have to necessarily protect that information. Can you talk about a little bit more about this loophole, and really, does it make room for them to go about and search anything on anyone?
Well, I think that we have to go individual by individual, because there's going to be people that are coming through the border that government agents want to stop. So the reason why I put it in those terms is to just maybe put a face on it, to say that the ACLU has a couple cases that they are pursuing in the courts against how people have been manhandled, how their devices have been taken from them. So, for example, David House, a Bradley Manning Support Network co-founder, is an individual who had the donor lists for these people who were donating to this group that's supporting a person who has helped a organization by allegedly providing information to WikiLeaks. And then there's another individual, Pascal Abidor, a 26-year-old U.S.-French dual citizen, who they are defending in the courts because he had his electronic devices taken from him when he was at the border. And this was...
So here, in a country called America, okay, where we've been okay, Brandy, we've been okay with there being these black prisons in our country, where people can be, because they're declared a terrorist, or they're a Muslim and they have some ties to some mosque or whatever, that they go inside of these prisons that are inside of prisons where you don't even know. And once you go in there, it's a black hole. You never come out. No one knows where you went. We've been okay with that for a long time, haven't we? I mean, we've said it's okay because we have enemies like terrorists, people that were Muslims, so that we all of a sudden decided that this is the way we're going to treat people, and we're okay with it. And I mean, listen, in a country where 50 Shades of Grey becomes a bestseller among housewives, like here, and like getting their ass smacked, they like to get a little bit of violence in their sex, a little violence in their sex, Brandy. Yeah, well, they don't have problems with people getting waterboarded or tortured to make them say something that you want them to say to get you to stop inside the black prisons. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Just like the Native Americans, just like the black folk, all of a sudden, all those things that people were okay with for other people, well, guess what? Now it's our turn now, right? So it's our turn, Brandy. So now they can pull me over and put tie wraps on my hands and put a bag over my head and put me in a van and never tell anybody where I went or what I did and put me in a prison and no one knows where I am. That's okay, huh? That's okay for our enemies, but is it okay for Americans? Is it okay for the free people of America and their constitutional free zones? Maybe the sheriff will come in there and protect you when they come and put a black bag over your head. The constitutional sheriff. The guy that's the oath keeper. If there was a such thing as an oath keeper, do you think that would be the Night of the Long Knives list, Brandy? Everybody who said they follow the Constitution, who signed a paper, they signed an oath to swear to God that they would follow the Constitution. Isn't that the night of the list of the Night of the Long Knives? If everything is true, if everything's that everybody says, so when it all happens and Joe Biden takes over the communist takeover of America, the first thing that's going to happen is everybody on that list is going to go have a visit.
That's right. Comes back to bite you. You think you're supporting what is for all the other guys. It's never going to happen to you. It links its way up the chain. That's what happens.
That dude makes a bunch of money every year to keep that list for the government. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's not a good idea to put your name on any papers, ladies and gentlemen. It's in the microcosm. We're talking about constitutional free zones in America. So if you were wondering why those unconstitutional things were happening all around you, that's why, ladies and gentlemen. It's because you're in a constitutional free zone, Brandy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I didn't know that before today. I just knew that unconstitutional things were going on, and you can move in and out of it and not even know. Go across the street, all of a sudden you're not protected anymore.
No, and you know it's funny too because you know speaking of constitutional free zones, you remember when that whole thing was going on up in Oregon with Lavoy Finicum? Well, it turns out there was a bunch of uranium up there in that property, and there's a whole thing going on, Uranium One. But one of the things was there was a really small airport up there, like a small little tiny airport. It was all of a sudden, it was made into an international airport.
I remember that.
Well, and guess what? In that 50-mile circle around that international airport, Lavoy Finicum was gunned down in cold blood in front of everybody on camera. Nobody did anything about it. Why? Because it was a constitutional free zone. They just plucked him right out, right in front of everybody and said, you know what, man? You want to come out here and get smart? This is what's going to happen to you. It's just like the Godfather breaking your legs when you don't pay him back. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microphone.
Just a few moments. What would I give just to have you near? Tell me you will try to slip away somehow. Oh, I need you, darling. I want to see you right now. Can you slip away, slip away, slip away? Oh, I need you so.
That's Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter. Yeah, it is heavy, man. That is heavy. It is heavy to come to the realization of what is actually going on. So you want to start from there, I think. You know, if you're gonna get in a Zoom town, get yourself in a Zoom town that's outside the 100-mile radius. Make sure you're in a constitutional zone when you move to your Zoom town, Brandy. I think that's a key. And we're trying to let everybody know what's going on ahead of time. We're giving you the heads up that the elite investors get so they can make a shitload of money off the fools who have no idea what's going on. Well, now you're not fools that know what's going on. Now you know what's going on. You know about the constitutional free zones. You know that the land's being turned back to the natives. You know that property ownership is on its way out. You know all these things. You got a minute before the music stops, Brandy, to get in a chair, to get yourself in a position that you can have a chair to sit in when the music stops and live out the rest of your meager life. But the future looks bleak for any of these younger people looking forward to owning any kind of property. Go ahead. We only got a couple minutes left before the break, ladies.
If you think having a big butt's going to give you 2 chairs, forget it.
Yeah, and if you think sniffing around the internet for fantasy stories about something that's going to happen, that's going to come in and save your ass from all this happening, wake up. It's not going to happen. No one is going to save you. No one is going to save America. America's been signed over, man. Don't you get it? $7 trillion. Get it, man. Get with it. Zoomtown. Get out while the getting's good, ladies and gentlemen, to where your Constitution still applies. And believe me, that area is getting smaller and smaller, Brandy. smaller and smaller. Our lives get smaller and smaller when we start not being able to live the way that we used to live and having to adjust ourselves and self-censor and all these things just so we can function through the world, you know, that's been created for us. This is why we don't evolve. This is why all we do is revolve around and around, you know?
Yes. Well, and the smaller things get, the more focused we each have to be on enjoying and appreciating the small things in life. They are the biggest.
They are. Well, we're almost out of time, Brandy. Great work today on the research, and really appreciate everybody for being here. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're listener supported. Come on down, become a supporter of the free speech that you crave and that you're able to find anytime you tune in right here at Revolution Radio. It is the place to be. Listen to the microcosm. We will be back here on Friday night for the late night show with the Epic Journeyman, Rock and Rio, and also Danny's going to be joining us, Brandy. So on Friday night. So yeah. So we're out of time, and it's been a thing going on all day here, Brandy, with this information, and I mean, there's more to it, but I think we were able to encapsulate some of these things to show a specific trend in America and beyond the borders. There will be no borders. The lines on the paper are the imagination of the white man to own property. No one owns the land. We're part of the land. We're part of the world. Aren't we, Brandy? We're part of Mother Earth. No, we don't own her.
We are. All of us share it. We're supposed to anyway.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. Stay tuned for the Fenton Perspective. Studio A, the place to be. I'm Jimmy. That's Brandy. We'll see you on Friday night, and I'll be on Aftermath Media, 6 o'clock Pacific, Thursday night. Take care. Oh man, you see that? Are you guys? I'm back. So sorry, I didn't mean to yell in your ear. Let me turn that down a little. Yeah.
It wasn't that loud.
It looks like it's just Rudolph over there saying, "Got that, kids? Trump signed off."
Hello.
He's the bankruptcy expert, man. Why the fuck do you think he was in there in the first place?
Wake up out of the wake up. Wake up out of the dream.
Oh my God. Hang on, let me come over there with you guys. Let me close some of these windows though. Hang on. Where's Scott McKay? Yeah, exactly. Where's Scott McKay? He told everybody, somebody told everybody that this guy fucking told everybody that Hillary Clinton is dead. She's been executed.
What? Where does that come from?
He just fucking, somebody told him or whatever. He's got intel.
Hello?
He's got intel.
I can say anything I want to. I'm not going to go around saying I have intel. How do you know the intel is really knowing either? You got to be careful with stuff like that.
I know. People are getting off on the constitutional free zones. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah, that's a very big eye-opener, and we need to know about it. And it makes a lot of sense now. The behavior that's been going on fits, and that's why these people that we thought were complicit in all the wrongdoings, actually they're really not when it's been written that way. But we needed to know about it. Not being informed wasn't right, but that wouldn't fit in with any plans either. So we're just, peons. We just work here.
Yeah, man. Well, there we go. There we are. There's the Monday edition. It's time to feed them dogs. Let me go see if the dog food's ready. If it's not ready, because I had to cook some chicken, so I'm not sure if it's finished yet. So let me go in there and see if it's ready, and then I'll come right back. Why don't you hang with everybody over here?
Okay.
All right, and then I'll be right back. Hang on.
Alrighty. So you guys, yeah, there's a lot to think about. Some of you left, some of you are still hanging out here with us, but a lot to think about. And if I could, I would share the link with you for that United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, in other words, UNDRIP, but it's a document, so I can't share it. But I do encourage you to go look it up. Maybe go to DuckDuckGo. That might be a really good place to start. And please share the show. It'll be up. I don't know when Jimmy's going to get it up, but he usually gets it up pretty quickly. If not tonight, generally by the next day, unless some kind of strike happens. So do share the show so that people can hear the information. It was an eye-opener for you. It's definitely going to be an eye-opener for some other people. The more we know, the more we can be prepared, we can make plans, we can understand what's going on. And I always say the pathway to knowledge is understanding. And understanding is a pathway to making decisions, because life is a series of decisions, isn't it? So it's good to know this stuff. Hard, yes, and it hurts a little bit because the people that we're supposed to trust, the people that we maybe thought we voted into office, or maybe some of them we did vote into office, are not who we thought they were. So we just have to remember that people aren't always who we think they are, and got to use good discernment, good judgment, and just like I always say too, be informed, be as aware as possible. But truly, I just really hope that you can try to find those positives. Always gotta find those positives, because that's going to be the energy. That's like your mental vitamins, maybe your mental minerals to move on and do what you need to do every day, and still find some joy and happiness. So yeah, it's wild. So Bella says, my plans to go to Florida got to be sure to be 100 miles inland. It's true. As I was looking through these documents and researching here, I found out that most of South Texas, I guess, which is not where I live, but it's a constitutional free zone. And I look back at some of the things that have been happening there, and again, it fits. I understand it better now. So, but Rusty says Trump knew what was coming down, and the changes coming to New York along with tax reasons. Yeah. And yeah, Bella, I'm a little confused too. Now they live on non-constitutional land, just a little confused. Well, we're supposed to be confused, I think. Don't you think we're supposed to be confused? Because if we're confused, we can be hoodwinked, we can be tricked, we can be not complicit, but conforming. We can be talked into conforming really easily. And that makes it a lot easier for people who are the elitists and who want to control everything. It makes it easier for them to control it. So, being armed with the information is only going to be helpful to us. So there you go. Thought I heard Jimmy. Did I hear you, Jimmy? Nope.
Yeah, I'm back.
Got dog food ready?
No, I gave him some. I fed him something. The chicken was still thawing out, so I gave him something to tide him over. But if you got to go, you can take off. I'll just hang out with everybody. So,
Oh, yeah, I probably should because I got to feed my critters.
All right.
And theirs is ready, so.
Cool.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for coming, and we'll see you next time, okay? Love you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye, Jimmy.
Great job, Brandy. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah,
Bye.
I'll talk to you later. All right, everybody. Let me kill this recording. There goes Brandy. So, let me see. Let me get with you guys. See what you're saying. So, what'd you think of the show? I mean, I'm gonna cut all this stuff off the show. I'm making a show for Aftermath out of this. So, but I stopped recording already. Hey, yeah, what's up? Eating a salad, learning about Cuba. So, good to see you over there, Nace. Hey, Bella, what's up, Rusty? Was it good? Good. I was hoping it was gonna be. So, but there was so much shit, I was trying to figure out a way to put it in there and get it all together so that we, could get to a point, making a point. So I don't know if we were able to make the point. Was the point made, or was it just a bunch of information? So I guess that's it. You guys are going silent. You're running silent, running deep. I don't know. All right, well, let me see here. I got to cut this show together and get it over there to him. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, cool. Thanks, Bella. So looks like there's 22 people over here hanging out. So that's good. They're still talking about, what do you guys want? Hey, what's up? Sorry about that. They're still over there. They want me to give them information in my show notes. No one told them I don't make show notes. Does anybody want to make show notes for Into the Microcosm? A run on a crop table, man. I love that. That's fucking great. Good one, Bernice. Good one, bruh. All right, well, I suppose I should, what time is it? 5? Tell you what, I'll come back after I get this show cut up and send over there. So it's not going to take that long because I didn't say a lot of things I'm going to have to cut out referencing Revolution Radio. So that's the only thing I have to cut out is anything like that. So it shouldn't take me but a minute. I only did it a couple times, plugging the station. So should be able to just, yeah, Florida. How many, I wonder how many miles across Florida is, do you know? Because if it's less than 200 miles across, nowhere in Florida is a constitutional zone. That's some funny shit. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Hillary's down in Guantanamo. What a joke. All right. I will come back. Well, Trump's in a I'm pretty sure. I mean, let's check the seriously check the width of miles, how wide Florida is. So at each coast, so you go around Florida like this, right? And so wherever you go around Florida, it's a fucking 100 miles in is constitutional free zone. Yeah. That was fucking funny. Yeah, Scott McKay. Man, I was taking a shot at him, dude. I don't like that guy. He's a stroker. You know what I mean? He's not shooting his audience straight. He's fucking, you know, he'd rather just tell them bedtime stories. You know what I'm saying? People rather hear bedtime stories, man. They don't want to wake up and find the house on fire. They'd rather sleep through it. That's how we got to constitutional free zones, man. You know, you know that tape I played during that show? Just, hey, Equicentric, you know that place, that piece that I played in that show? Huh? It was from 2013, and the law was passed in 2009. So that was, you know, look at how many years ago that went through. And they just taking people's phones anytime they want, just downloading your shit. They're using that, I forget the name of it. It's ClearPoint, I think is what it's called, is the name of that software that the cops are using. They can buy this off-the-shelf software where they scan all of they take your picture and then they use your facial recognition and scan you across all the internet. And look at all your shit, look at all your posts. You know, if you were just posting all crazy on Facebook 10 minutes ago, and now you're in the car, 500 miles to 160 miles wide at its most distant points. So it's pretty much a constitutional free zone then, isn't it? The whole state. So it's 100 miles in from each side of the coast. So maybe there's I don't know. It looks like you're saying, Equicentric saying Florida's 500 miles long and 180 miles wide. So there you go. 100 miles from either side. So those 100-mile borders are going to overlap. So there is no constitution in Florida at all. Right on. Right on, Equicentric. I'm glad. I just, you know, the show is just trying to make people think, you know. Give people a heads up about this. You know, this story's not being talked about anywhere else in the alternative media because it's a Wall Street story. It's a real estate investor story, so most people are not into real estate investment. And if they are into the financials, that segment of the show that are out there for people to see are only most people who are into the financial shit will go to those channels, but everybody else doesn't know. So I was just trying to get people to you know, take a look at it. And if you're going to go somewhere, man, times to go is now, especially with these Zoom cities, man, when you get 10 grand to go show up. So you got a job already that you're working out of town, and you get 10 grand to show up. Go there with 10 grand and use that 10 grand to fucking down payment on a house, man. See what I'm saying? And the other thing I'm saying is, how about this? What if you got like 100 people together, right? And you guys all said, you know what? Let's all move to this Zoom town. Ready? Go. And everybody goes. You got 100 people times 10. You guys got 100 grand together as a group to put down on, say, like a big-ass old hotel or something. And then you just knock out walls and just make everybody a sweet house, you know, inside the hotel. Never pay another fucking penny the rest of your life, man. And all that property on the hotel that they were using for the shit, tennis courts, pools, all that shit, you got all of it. Yeah? See? So, man, this is the moment. This is the moment, really, seriously, to move on this, what I'm telling you. Zoomtown, man. I'll tell you right now, people are pissed about that Oathkeeper shit I said, but it's totally true. I've said it before. I did a whole show on it, as a matter of fact. I did a whole show on that Oathkeeper dude and how much money that guy makes from people joining his club to get their little stickers or whatever. I'm an Oathkeeper. Yeah. He makes a lot of money every year. Damn right. And you can guarantee that he pays a good chunk of money to get on Alex Jones' network and sit there and sell it to the constitutional sheriffs and all this. Yeah. Yeah, see, that idea as time has come. See what I'm saying? You take 10 people, you fucking sell everything you got where you are, get all this money that you can get all together, and then take the 10 grand, bone out, and boom. You got a whole instant life. I think it's possible. You know, I don't know. We got to figure something out before you own nothing and love it. Exactly, dude. They don't do squat. They do nothing. Yeah, well, we'll talk more about it. We'll look into it. Like, I'll do a mock-up. Like, I'll look for a small town, and I'll find a hotel in a small town somewhere and see. You know what I mean? Because that's a perfect way to do it, you know? I mean, a hotel is a multifamily dwelling, so it'll fit in the future. Like, they won't come after your single-family home. So if you've already got a multifamily dwelling, we'll be within what's going to happen. But if we own it outright, we won't have to pay. That's what I'm talking about. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a mock-up. I can't believe people didn't know about this constitutional free zone thing, man. Oh wow, that's a good one, Epicentric. Yeah. All right, well listen, I'm gonna get out of here and cut that show together, and then I'll come back like at 7 or whatever and kick back for a while. No, I will. I'll put it together. I'll just do a mock-up of it and see what it looks like. Seems like it's gonna be pretty easy, man. So maybe I'll have it by 7. I'll dick around with it and see. I can't do everything by 7, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do it while we're at 7. Maybe I'll do it on the air, like live. We'll just do it live. Yeah, sweet. I'm serious too, Bella. I mean, I've been thinking about it, so I've let it. And plus, I could, there's a lot of things you can do in that situation to make that place like almost free, with the energy stuff. So yeah, yeah, let's talk about it. It's a potential, and it's a way for small people to get involved. Yeah, I'm not kidding either. I'm not kidding. I swear, man, I'll put it together. So then once you put it together, then you just say, hey, I got this idea. Here it is. Here's my mock-up. Here's my idea. Here's how much it costs to get in, and boom. And then we all go in together and do it. Hopium. Yeah, dude. Well, the thing is, man, it's, you can still do stuff. As long as you don't ask a question, it's better to say sorry. It's better to say sorry than to ask for permission. You ever heard that? Same thing with this shit. You just do it. The other thing I saw too is if you get over, I think there's a certain amount of people. If you have 150 people, you can start a town, like a government and everything. I think it's 150 people is what it takes. Well, we'll figure it out. Maybe that's the thing. Start a town. Let's find a town. Marty Town, Bella Town, Ecocentric Town, Rusty Sword Town. Seriously. All right, let's build our own town. Ready? I'm going to get going, and then we'll come back. I'll come back later for a bit, and we'll figure it out. I'll just do it for fun while we're listening there on the air. I'll just dick around. All right. I got to go check this chicken. I'm cooking it. So I will check you guys on the flip side at 7 o'clock. As soon as I find some music to go out with. And I think I have found it, so I will wait till this commercial runs. Let me see if people are attacking me in the chat. Let me just look. No. No one's attacking me. I don't see anybody. So, nah. What can they say? They can't say nothing to me, man. I just open their eyes to the facts, man.
1, 2, get down.
Okay, so I'll be back. Let's call it 7:15. 2 hours. Sweet, Bella. I want to hear about them. I'll try to get my phone number hooked back up so you guys can call in with ideas. All right, man. All right, Equicentric. Good to see you. So we'll be back in 2 hours. All right, ready? Here we go. We're out of here.
Look at me. Know what you see? See a bad mother. Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. Know what you see? See a bad mother.
I'm freezing it out. So that's so when Google puts the picture up, they'll put the picture up. So I was posing. All right, I'll see you guys in a few.
So, having fun, got money fun. Having fun, got money fun. Having fun, got money fun. Having fun, got money